Welcome to episode 570 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing true paranormal stories from the gas station. This is the second of these topic-based episodes that are a slight variation of the usual true paranormal stories from the web. And this will not be a regular feature, but I thought we'd try this, and I enjoyed the last one I did, the one with the elevators, and this one should be fun as well. Thank you all again for being here. You can always find all episodes and other links to social media along with other ways to contact me. There we go. On the podcast page, that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Excuse me. Always happy to hear from y'all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live shows on Discord or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. No, that's not right. 6 p.m. Yeah, that is right. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for putting all these shows up on the station and having me there. And if you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find books I've written, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, over on Amazon. And you can also sign up for the Patreon page, where there is one episode of the show per month, extra episode per month, over there for all paid platform, paid membership levels there. That's what I want to say. Or you can just make one-time donations to PayPal. Too many P's there. Help is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from research materials to equipment to travel expenses in some cases. And I think that takes care of all of that. And so yeah, we can get to these stories here. I'm looking at the chat here. Derek says unleaded or super undeaded. There we go. Got it. So posting memes there. But so this is something, if you look around online, you can find all kinds of stuff about this. And I only took from one page for each of these episodes, but we could probably do more in the future from other sources, because I'm sure there's other stories. I've heard quite a few over the years and on different podcasts as well. And that's part of why I wanted to do this, because there does seem to be some high strangeness and or paranormal activity that happens around gas stations. And if you think about it, there are places where people are always coming and going. But if you're not, then you're probably working there and you have to stay there and deal with all this energy coming and going. And so it doesn't surprise me that they can be hot spots for things happening there. So going to this first of these 5 stories I have here. This one says, back in the mid-'80s, my mom and I were traveling through Tennessee on our way to visit friends in Texas, navigating using a paper map. Because, of course, this is before any kind of GPS stuff was really easily available. About an hour outside of Nashville on I-40, a summer thunderstorm hit, reducing visibility and forcing us to slow down and decide to find a motel at the next exit. We took an unmarked exit and turned right towards a brightly lit gas station, passing a motel on our left that was difficult to see in the rain. The road ended abruptly, and we took a left turn down a steep, narrow driveway that led into a huge mud pit, getting our car stuck. We walked to the spotless, brightly lit gas station, where two young men in outdated suits greeted us enthusiastically, as if expecting us. The attendants pulled out a phone book for a small township with an unusually large number of tow truck companies and debated who to call, skipping one company due to a previous issue. A pristine tow truck arrived within 5 minutes, driven by two men dressed like they were from the 1950s, who were horrified that we had almost escaped the mud pit on our own. The tow truck drivers informed the gas station attendants about our near escape, and they all seemed shocked and disturbed by this. The attendants eagerly asked if we would stay at the motel across the road, but we got an uncanny feeling from them and the whole situation, so we decided to leave. We drove straight back to the interstate and spent the night at an ordinary motel at the next exit, joking about avoiding the Bates Motel, in quotation marks there. Several days later, on our way home, we tried to find the exit to the creepy town in daylight, but couldn't locate it, realizing that it didn't exist. In subsequent trips along I-40, we never found the exit to the creepy town again, despite being able to identify the exits before and after where the incident occurred. And that's where that one ends. And that seems to be one of the most common types of these encounters, where they go to a place, people get to a place that is there the first time they encounter it, and then is not there or is completely different the next time they go that way. That is just wild. So yeah, it was Ricky in the chat there says, was it vampires? Other entities, I mean, the way that they were dressed in like 1950s kinds of clothes. I wonder if maybe the people from the gas station were also in some kind of clothes from an earlier period. There's also that feeling that the mom and the daughter, that actually, I guess, I don't know, they don't say the daughter, if they were the daughter, but the mom and their kid, at the time, these two people, they had this feeling like they needed to get out of there. So what was behind that feeling? Was it a sense of just these are not regular people, or was it a sense of this whole place feels weird? There's a weird energy in this place. Just so many things there that seem possible. And then, of course, the ultimate part is that they when they drove by there, they could not find. But see, that's amazing, because there was an exit. There was a road, or a turn off of a road, major road, that was there that one time, and then not there the next time. So how does that work? That's not just meeting people that appear and disappear. That's a part of geography, or part of structures that are not there. That's another part of the amazing thing about those kinds of encounters, is that you're talking about a whole lot of stuff that is different there. if you break it all down to just the every little part of that scene, it is really just it's does not make sense unless it was some kind of trip into some other dimension, some other version of Earth, some kind of other multiverse kind of thing. They don't say there was missing time, so I don't know, but it's really odd. But yeah, going to the chat here, Ricky says, heard a story about a caravan of vampires. They made a town in the middle of the desert. Interesting. So yeah, that's the first story that we have here for tonight. So let me get on to the next one here. I could probably spend another 5 minutes talking about how weird that first one was without really saying a whole lot more. So best just to move on. This one says, I live in a small farming community in Virginia where apparently ghosts exist alongside the cotton and peanut fields. In the store where I work, there were at least 2 ghosts, but now it seems there's only one left. The first ghost likes to knock things over, especially when we talk about it, and appears as an orb in our security cameras. The second ghost, which I believe is no longer there, was a spirit stuck in a cycle, appearing as a man in a black hoodie. I saw this man repeatedly, sometimes mistaking him for a customer or one of my 2 coworkers. The first time I realized I was seeing a ghost was when I saw this man walk from the soda window to the beer window, only to find out that my coworker, who I thought it was, had been outside taking out the trash. I got a cold feeling in my stomach when I realized the person I saw wasn't really there. Several times, I thought a customer had entered the store without the doorbell ringing, only to check the security cameras and find the floor completely empty. I began to pay more attention to the ghost pattern. He would start at the sodas, walk to the single beer window, I guess they mean cooler, and disappear. I started talking to the ghost, telling him, and this is something I don't quite agree with all the time, but anyway, telling him, you can't drink beer anymore, man. You're dead. It says, my other coworker has also seen this ghost. I saw the ghost about 15 to 20 times in total. But one day he did something different. He started at the beer window and walked down the candy aisle toward the register before disappearing. After that incident, I never saw him again. And I hope this means he finally found his way out of the store. And that's where that one ends. So that one is also neat in its own way because you have possibly an entity there that is basically thinking of things a certain way, and then eventually, either due to the person that wrote that in, due to someone telling them, "Hey, you're not the way you were before," or other factors, who knows? They eventually figured out, "Oh, I can probably get out of here now." Yeah, and then the chat there says, Mike chat says, people go to the soda window? Yes, we do. Though beer is also amazing. So I'd be wanting to go to both. But DG in the chat says, better inventory that beer. Maybe he figured out how to drink it. Yeah, that's true. Slimer. Yeah, so So yeah, that's just that's a neat one there. Just the idea of sometimes does that happen? I think it probably does in some cases where whoever's there, if it is some kind of entity, they figure out or decide, okay, I'm done with this area, moving on, and then people don't have that same encounter anymore. So, um, anyway, a couple of these are more just sort of like hauntings, and if you want to label them that way, and others they're more different, like that first one. So, moving on to the next one here. This one says, about 15 years ago, I was working as a cashier at a gas station down the street from where I lived. One day, a man with blood all over his head, shirt, and overalls came into the store. He asked me, "Did you hear about the car accident up the road? I think someone died." I replied, "No, that's crazy." The man then asked me for a pack of cigarettes. I turned around to get them, but when I turned back, the store was empty. Shocked, I looked around and outside to see if the man had left. There were other people outside. I asked them, "Did you see a man leave?" He had overalls on with blood on them. The people looked at me and said they hadn't seen anyone like that. I then asked if they had heard anything about the accident up the road. And they said, yes, some guy hit a telephone pole and died. That's where that one ends. Makes me wonder, even though it's odd, it's strange in a way, um, was, I don't know, was the apparition, was that the guy that died? Was he either not aware yet that he had passed on? Um, maybe he even, I don't know, maybe he heard that someone had died there and he didn't realize that was him. A lot of possibilities there. But it does sound like the writer there was the only one to see this figure. Yeah, he didn't know he had died. So yeah, definitely seems possible. So moving on to the next one here. This one says, I worked the opening shift at a gas station. Let me see here. Yep, okay. Often by myself, arriving at 4 a.m. to prepare for the store's 5 a.m. opening. My tasks include frying food, making coffee, counting in the drawers for the register, stocking items, and putting down the chairs from the tables where the night crew flips them upside down during the closing. Sorry about the noise. That's Logan deciding to play right in the middle of the show. That's my cat. One morning, about a month or two ago, I was doing my usual pre-opening routine. I specifically remember going to the corner of the store and putting down all 8 chairs from the 2 small square tables, tucking them neatly under the tables, excuse me, before returning to check on the coffee. Excuse me. A few minutes later, I went back to the front of the store to check the time behind the counter, the register, and glanced to my left towards the tables. To my surprise, I saw one of the chairs flip back up on the first table, and I stared at it for at least 2 minutes, completely frozen and confused. I was certain that I had put all the chairs down and tucked them under the tables, and it seemed unlikely that I would have left one chair up after making the effort to put the other 7 chairs down. For the rest of the hour that I was alone, I had chills and a nervous feeling, but eventually forgot about it throughout the day. Although it still gives me weird vibes when I think about it. I always worked this shift alone, and all the doors are locked, with bells at each door that ding when people enter or exit. So I would have known if someone had come into mess with anything. So that's where that one ends. That is odd that it's just one chair. I wonder with cases like that where it's just one thing that happens, if it's sort of, again, some kind of a glitch with time and reality. So for whatever reason, especially if there's nothing else going on in that location. Yeah, I hope not. Logan doesn't need to be summing anything, let alone that, what was in the chat there. But yeah, she's enough to handle on her own. But anyway, so yeah, I wonder about that with that indication there. And again, that goes back to maybe that's just a smaller scale version of what happens in some of these more extreme stories. So let me see here. So last story here we're going to do. This one says, let's see here. Okay. Yeah, I got to get on this one. This one says, I finally convinced my friend to move from Seattle to Texas. We decided to split the move into two parts. The first one involving renting an SUV to transport their belongings. Since we had some time, we chose to take the trip on back roads, staying at Mineral Springs Resort in the middle of nowhere in Oregon, which was amazing. On the second day, we drove to Vegas via US 50, known as the loneliest highway in America. I guess it kind of is a sort of a hallway. Before this, we had gone 8 to 10 hours without any human contact. As a former over-the-road trucker and U.S. veteran, I'm used to traveling to different places and being in new surroundings every day. But I've also learned to listen to my instincts. A few hours away from Vegas, we stopped at a gas station that looked aged and dated. My friend decided to go to get gas while I went inside to look around and get some snacks. I can't point to any one thing that was wrong, but I was overcome with an incredible feeling that this place was, in quotation marks, out of place, end quotation marks. And if I wanted to leave or be able to, I needed to go right away. Although it could have been my own experience or imagination due to the bad feeling, the moment I decided to leave without buying anything or using the restroom, everyone in the place started looking at me, including both employees and all the people there. I quickly walked to my car and told my friend that if she believed in instincts, we should get in the car and leave immediately. We left and didn't breathe easy, until we were 10 miles away from that place. This was my spooky encounter in the middle of Death Valley. So that's where that one ends. That's the last one for the night. Again, one of these weird experiences with, again, a place that was out of place, according to the writer there. So, and yeah, really, really a weird one there, especially with the way people looked at them. I wonder if they seemed as strange to all the people there as all the people there seemed to them. Hard to know, but glad we got through all of those. That is unfortunately all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.